Welcome to the NAFI headquarters here at Lakeland. Paul Plack talking today with Max Trescott, who has been awarded the NAFI Master CFI, or CFI of the Year for 2008. You are also a NAFI Master CFI.
Yes, that's true, though interestingly, the finalists, all 8 of them from around the country, were all Master CFIs, but that's totally unrelated to the national awards program that the GA committee awards for 4 different categories, by the way. So not only is there a national CFI for 2008, but we also have avionics technicians, a mechanic, and also the FAST team representative. So there are 4 different awards.
All right, I want to ask you, before we take our first break here, what it means to be a Master CFI, and then also what it means to be NAFI's CFI of the Year. How do both of those things happen?
Sure. The Master CFI program is something that was created by NAFI, the National Association of Flight Instructors, in conjunction with the FAA and other organizations to provide some level of recognition for folks who go above and beyond the basic day-to-day teaching. So they look for folks who are very broadly involved in a lot of different areas of aviation. In fact, there are 4 different categories of work that they're looking for. So in addition to teaching credentials, they're looking for what kind of pro bono work we're doing with volunteer groups, what kind of creation of media that we're doing, and what type of self-education that we're doing as well too. And then anyone who's interested in becoming a Master CFI needs to submit a portfolio that details all of the activities in those different areas, and then it's evaluated by the board, and then if they agree, then become a Master CFI. There are about 450 CFIs around the world who are Masters. And then the National 2008 CFI of the Year, totally separate process, independent of NAFI. Essentially that starts at the local FSDO level at the FAA. And so in my case, the San Jose FSDO nominated me as a representative for them for CFI of the Year, and that occurred late last year, I guess. And then they sent that to the Pacific Western region, which represents several western states, and I was then selected by the FAA to represent the western region. And then ultimately, those 8 nominees from the FAA are all evaluated by the GA National Awards Committee, which has a number of people who are drawn from different parts of industry, who then evaluate all of the portfolios and then decide, hey, who's it going to be? So I'm very happy to be chosen. I know there are literally dozens of people that I know who could be standing here in this position. I'm happy to be representing CFIs because I think they're a dedicated, hardworking group of individuals, and would like to see even more people become CFIs because there's a big need for that right now.
Cirrus aircraft have always been easy to fly. Now they're easier than ever to buy. A complete line of ownership programs gives you everything you need to purchase, trade, finance, lease, insure, and warranty your Cirrus. There's even an ownership program for non-pilots. The Cirrus Access Pilot can teach you how to fly, or fly the plane for you. Find out more at www.cirrusdesign.com. Cirrus, for the love of flying.
You touched on something just before the break, and that is the number of flight instructors. Yeah. I was told at one time a few years ago that on paper in the FAA record database, there is approximately 1 CFI for every 2 flight students. Now that includes guys who haven't instructed in years and still hold the certificate.
Right.
How many actual flight instructors do you think there are working in the U.S. actively right now?
Well, I think the database shows there's about 91,000 CFIs, and I would imagine many of them are working, but not necessarily as flight instructors. I think many of those folks have become airline pilots, for example, and so they pass through the flight instructor ranks relatively quickly, even more quickly these days because the airline minimums have been relatively low, so people just haven't been staying around. So I can't really tell you how many active flight instructors there are, though I can tell you that one large company did a survey last summer, and they found that within their organization, nationwide, they were short about 1,000 CFIs, and they estimated nationwide there was a need for about 4,000 CFIs as of last June. That may have changed, but there's definitely been a shortage in the industry for a while.
Today, there is an affordable, high-performance, easy-to-own and easy-to-operate very light jet designed with you in mind. Far less expensive than any other twin-engine jet to buy, it is also the least expensive to own and operate. It is the Eclipse 500, the jet that's easy to buy, easy to fly, and fun to own. The jet for you.
What do we do about that? I mean, obviously, Boeing released a study not too long ago that said that aviation overall is going to need 18,000 new pilots per year for something like 20 years.
Right, that's a really good point. And I would guess every one of those 18,000 pilots will probably have a CFI at some point along the way. So yeah, that's a fundamental necessity to get more CFIs out there. Some of the things that I've seen happening over the last year to 18 months are some of the salaries are rising for CFIs. Some of the flight schools are offering greater benefits to the CFIs. In fact, I know at least one school told me that they pay more than the airlines do, and that some of those folks who are airline related, they try and keep them around longer to help them build up the cushion of money they're going to need for those lean days when they get their first airline job. So I think there's definitely a great need. And one of the other major ways that I think is we're starting to see more, the need filled is through folks like you and I, who may not necessarily be in our teens anymore or early 20s and be thinking about airline careers. And I think there's a huge opportunity for anybody who's looking to get a more advanced rating or to really heighten their whole aviation game, if you will, move it up a step. So anybody who's got their instrument rating and thinking about their commercial ought to really think about getting their CFI rating as well and becoming part of the pool that's going to stick around and become part of the long-term cadre of instructors.
What about guys who are retiring from the airlines? Is there a role for them in this? Because obviously they're used to making good money. But if the pay of flight instructors is coming up at that rate, I don't know, is it maybe beat being a greeter at Walmart or driving the shuttle van for your local car service place? I mean, there are those jobs out there.
I've never been a greeter, so I really can't compare that directly. But no, I think that historically there's been a lot of movement back and forth between the airlines as furloughs occur. Many of those folks then move back to CFI jobs. So I would imagine with all the bankruptcies we've had announced here just in the last 10 days that many of those folks will be moving back directly into the CFI workforce. And that's probably a good thing, because what with the shortage, there has been difficulty in keeping instructors around. A lot of people have been frustrated that either they couldn't find an instructor or they had 4 instructors because they all moved on to the airline so quickly. So this is part of the natural ebb and flow that we've historically seen. So we're moving back in the direction where there are going to be more instructors around, and that's a good thing.